was muted. I didn't know. Welcome, everyone. I'm just getting set up.
Standing in the shadows of the tower, following directions from elders, all drunk on power, controlled by perceptions. They weaponized our shame. Paradise promised laced with generations of pain. Critical thinking torched with Armageddon's fire. Any doubts must come from the original liar. A closed loop circuit where doubt is a sin. A heart that has questions could never get in. Finally whispered, is this really the way? Could the truth be this rigid? Can light really not play? I searched through the cracks beyond all my beliefs, and I found rock solid faith that can hold up my feet. The kingdom's promised place just out of reach, behind dogma's guise and all their judgmental speech. I walked barefoot through hell just so I could question your grace. I found the keys to my freedom inside that dark sacred place. The kingdom's promised place just out of reach, behind dogma's guise and all their judgmental speech. I walked barefoot through hell just so I could question your grace. I found the keys to my freedom inside the sacred place. And know that love is broader than fear and might. The truth always shines freely in its boundless light. I finally bled through the pages of all of their books. With each tear that I shed, I removed one of their hooks. Deconstructing my faith, but not to destroy. To reclaim my voice and remember my joy. Now we are no longer bound by laws made by men. True peace finally comes when we feel God's love from within. When we see God's love from within. When we feel God's love from within. Within each dark shadow, a small light will glow. Only pure hearts will find it and use it to grow. The chains of false teachings come completely undone. We can rise up in peace, a free shout of the sun. We feel God's love from within. We feel God's love from within. From within, from within, from within, from within, from within. Ancient voices calling strong. From the shadows they surround me. Ancestors where I belong. Silent winds they guide my footsteps. Every breath a warrior's creed. Battles close, the drum beats echo. Strength and courage is what I need. Rise up, peaceful warrior. Feel the power in your soul. With the wisdom of our elders, we will make a world. Within the heart is raging like pure and right. Spirit whispers tales of valor in the calm before the fight. In the darkness we find daylight. Every moment fuels our might. Hope and love ignite our passion. We're prepared to win this fight. Rise up, peaceful warrior. Feel the power in your soul. With the wisdom of our elders, we will make a world. With the darkness, we find daylight. Every moment fuels our might. Hope and love ignite our passion. We're prepared to win this fight. Rise up, peaceful warrior. Feel the power in your soul. With the wisdom of our elders, we will make a world. Close your eyes, now find the dark where secrets lie. Leave their mark, hidden deep inside your mind. Truth you fear, you still might find. Breathe in slowly, face the pain. In the shadows, there's your gate. See the parts you pushed away. Light within, the dark will stay. Gotta work, look within. Find the places you've been hiding. Embrace the parts you couldn't deny. Light within, the dark will stay. Memories of a troubled past. In your thoughts, they hold you fast. Cardinal's words will show the way. Through the night into the day. Feel the fear, but don't let go. Set the parts you never show. Integration brings you peace. From the chaos, find release. Gotta work, look within. Find the places you've been hiding. Embrace the parts you can't deny. In the silence, hear your cry.
Greetings, beautiful humans. My name is AJ, owner of AJ Inc., Triple M Coaching, founder of our home planet on the web, hackyourself.net. I thank you so much for joining me tonight for another Healing in Nature event, which this week I have turned into a podcast. So thank you to both who are joining us live right this second. 2, 3. I have a hard time seeing what's happening live, so I try to interact with the chat. But if you've watched a few of our previous episodes, you know that we have a WhatsApp group that's up and running, and the link to that is in the description of this video, and it's also on my YouTube channel. And so you can join the WhatsApp group if that's easier to communicate, or you can text me old-fashioned way. You can go old school, and you can text me at 360-798-2184. My point is, I want to hear from you today. I want you to take part in this conversation. Tell me questions that you have. Give me feedback on your experience on transforming, transmuting emotions, lower vibration emotions into higher vibration emotions. Tonight, we are going to talk about why emotions get frozen in our body. We are going to talk about how to unfreeze them, but mostly we're going to learn what they are here to do, because they have an important job to do. And until we let them do their job, we end up fighting against nature itself. And that's how we get anxiety disorders. That's how we get depression. That's how we get all the symptoms, the things that I can't work on because I'm not a doctor, and the things you go to the doctor for to get medicine for. Those are all symptoms of your identity. And here at AJ Inc. Mobile Media Marketing and Coaching, we do identity shifting. We take care of the core root beliefs that are causing these symptoms, and the symptoms just go away. So you may hear a little bit of my calming music in the background. That's for me. It's to help me create the metaphysical space of healing that we're going to create tonight, so we can tune our vibration into healing. So let me get my WhatsApp group up just in case somebody wants to interact. I got no chats in the YouTubes. So last episode, we talked about basically method acting, shifting states, and how to recognize what state we are in. You're going to have to forgive me. I'm actually outside in nature today, so we're by a kind of a busy road, so we might hear some traffic and we might hear some dogs. We will just translate that to nature and let it calm us even more. So today, we are going to talk about emotional alchemy. We are going to become the alchemist. We've all seen the old stories about the alchemist turning coal into gold, but the metaphor for that is really transforming or transmuting pain into love. And so that's what we're going to learn about today. Emotional alchemy, transforming pain into power through the body, mind, and inner child. In previous episodes, we've talked a lot about inner child work. Oh, is that coming to say hi? I don't know if he'll get on camera. So welcome, beautiful humans. Tonight we are going to change our relationship with emotions forever. Tonight isn't about controlling emotions. It's about learning their language. Most of us grew up in families, religions, or relationships where emotions were punished, ignored, shamed, or inconvenient. So we learned to bury them, to silence them, to push them down into the body. And tonight, we open the door that they've been knocking on for years. So whether you're watching this live with me right now or on the replay later on, if you would, put in the comments what emotion has been coming up for you lately, even when you don't want it to. Just let that question settle into your body and see if an answer comes up. And if you feel moved, take part of the conversation. I'm going to tell you a little story about myself. For years, I carried an invisible backpack filled with emotions that I didn't understand. Thank you for the hearts, whoever's sending them in the live. I took it everywhere I went. I got so used to it being there that I didn't notice it at all. Like a child raised wearing a weighted blanket as a cape. It was there so long that I began to believe that it was just part of me. It was exhausting to carry. It made life feel extra hard. And by the time I realized I was carrying such a heavy load, it seemed that my wounds had healed around the straps. It seemed to be a part of my personality. Didn't matter how many goals I set, how much I accomplished, how many people I helped. These lower vibration emotions would just show up like a shadow behind everything. I tried ignoring them. I tried being stronger than them. I tried staying busy. I tried positive thinking, affirmations. I tried spiritual bypassing. I tried therapy. I tried numbing. I tried pretending. But no matter what I did, the emotions would just not go away. What I didn't know back then was they were not meant to. These emotions from my past actually had a job to do, and they weren't going anywhere until they did it. The problem was that I was terrified of these emotions. I just wanted them to go away. And when they finally would for a bit, I would instantly get anxiety just from wondering how long the peaceful feeling was going to last. After years of this exhausting battle, I finally learned that these emotions were only trying to get me to listen. Have you ever had an emotion that stayed with you over time? Maybe years? What is emotional alchemy? Alchemy is the ancient art of transforming or transmuting one thing into another. Usually it's something of low value into something of high value. So turning lead into gold, or dark into light, pain into wisdom, shame into identity, and grief into love. Emotional alchemy is the process of letting an emotion complete the cycle that it was never allowed to finish. So ways that we can use this metaphor of, say, turning lead into gold in emotional alchemy is we could find ourselves with a bad habit that we don't want to partake in anymore. And we could become the alchemist, and we could find a way to reverse engineer that bad habit and replace it with 2 or 3 habits that are good for us and fulfill us even more than the supposed bad habit. And we do that by not viewing the habit as bad. We would do that in real life as seeing the habit as something useful that has just outgrown its usefulness. One example of emotional alchemy turning darkness into light, my own personal experience, my whole life in religion, I was taught to look outside for source energy, for the creative source that made me, for information to lead me to that source. And to me, I turned that darkness into light by looking inside for it, where it's found. And so we can take maybe a misunderstanding of reality that we've been taught by well-meaning people. And once we recognize that it's not helping us and that it's a misunderstanding, we can alchemize it, the darkness, into light. One way that I've seen pain alchemize into wisdom is through my work and my personal experience in narcissistically abusive households. Anybody raised in such a household or find themselves in one as an adult, once we heal, we learn how to turn the narcissistic abuse that we experienced into emotional intelligence. We learn that everything we experienced was upside down, and so we do the opposite of it, and we alchemize it. We transmute it, the pain that we felt, into wisdom. One way that we turn fear into power, maybe again with religion, we might have a mind that's trapped in fear, and once reminded of its divinity, it may turn that fear into power to learn more. An example of alchemizing shame into an identity might be childhood trauma transmuted into valuable lessons. One of my favorites is transmuting grief into love. This was one of my biggest lessons ever in life, was losing my father to death. I had to really contemplate what that experience was supposed to teach me, what I was supposed to learn from it, and all the grief that I felt from losing somebody so important to me. It culminated into me understanding that that experience was teaching me to value the loved ones around me now. And I was able to see times in which I was ignoring them, focused on useless goals. And now, every time I find myself changing my focus to the human that walks into the room and showing them my time and attention and being grateful for their presence because of what losing my dad taught me, it just reminds me that he's with me. And it transmuted all that grief into a love that I can share with everyone now. So you can begin to see how spending time with these emotions that maybe we've been taught our whole life are scary or we don't have the right to feel has frozen these emotions inside of our body. And if we just spend time talking about what they mean and what they're trying to teach us, then we can unfreeze them and move them out of our body. So we're going to talk about now the 3 rules of emotional alchemy. Rule number 1, emotions are not problems. We need to learn to see them as messages. Thank you again to whoever is spamming up the hearts in the comments. I appreciate it. I see them out of the corner of my eye. So rule number 1, emotions are not problems. They are messages. They are instructions emotions from your unconscious. They're letters from the past, and sometimes letters from the future. Rule number 2, whatever you resist persists, meaning the harder you fight to push the emotion away, the bigger it gets, and the more stuck it gets, the colder and more frozen it gets. So when we suppress emotions, they store in the body. We repeat the pattern. We become numb, and then we implode. And so we need to learn how to sit with these feelings. This is the hardest part of emotional alchemy. I spent my whole life until I was 42 years old running from anger, thinking I had no right to be angry. And I realized the last 18 years of me running from anger, I had every right to be angry. I just needed to learn how to express it in an emotionally intelligent way. And that's what it was trying to teach me. And I was running instead of listening. What is that? Oh, 3 watching. Thank you. Welcome. So that leads us to rule number 3. Emotions do not want to stay. They want to move. So for those of us that have had emotional disorder, anxiety, who felt these symptoms their whole life, it might feel like your body is just stuck and broken. But emotions, they want to move. They are energy in motion. We get stuck not because they're strong, the emotions, but because we've been taught to freeze them by accident. There's a connection between body and mind when we write down our thoughts. So whether you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay, please comment your answer to the following questions. Just take a moment to allow these questions to settle in your unconscious mind. And then type whatever comes naturally. And you just might learn something about yourself when you allow yourself to fully participate. So, I want you to think of an emotion that you grew up not being allowed to feel. And if one comes to mind and you're moved to do so, comment it. See what it looks like written out in front of you. See what it feels like to acknowledge that emotion, maybe for the first time in your life, in writing. See how freeing that might be. The next question: who taught you the rules about emotions? Some of us, picture pops right into mind. For others, it might take a moment. Maybe we had a whole community teaching us. Maybe we need a moment to see patterns in our family. Whatever comes up, go ahead and comment it. What emotion was unsafe in your childhood home? Let that thought sink in for a moment and see if anything comes up. What emotion was unsafe in your childhood home? Or which emotions did your religion punish? I don't see any comments in the chat yet, but I see the heart still streaming. Maybe that means that all they're feeling is love, and I love that. So why does your nervous system freeze? How does this energy get frozen inside our body? When we are children mostly, but it happens all throughout our life, your nervous system freezes emotions when it wasn't safe, or when you were alone and had no one to help you process the emotion, or when you had someone in your family home or that you regularly dealt with who is unpredictable emotionally. You never knew which version of them you were going to get. Perhaps you'd be punished for having needs, or you were told to be strong. Or my favorite, I hear it even nowadays, boys don't cry. Such a lie. That is how we unfreeze emotions. What? Oh, nice. Efron had a comment. Nice. Hey, how you doing, man? Just about halfway through our event here, and we're talking right now about how emotions get frozen in our body. So, if we were punished as a child for having needs, or if we were told to be strong, or told that our pain was inconvenient, I see that a lot in parenting. Might not be said by words, but actions show that the child's emotional pain is inconvenient and therefore ignored. Or last on this list, if you were shamed for feeling anything at all. So think back on your childhood, young adult life, and think about times when you didn't feel safe, you were alone through times when you needed help and support, someone around you was unpredictable, you'd be punished for having needs, told to be strong rather than feel the emotion you were supposed to feel, or that your pain was inconvenient, or when you were shamed for having any feelings at all. And you can begin to see how these emotions would get frozen because their life cycle is to teach us something. Fear is to get us to look at what we're supposedly supposed to be afraid of and assess whether it's a real threat. But we're supposed to learn how to control that fear. If it's not a real threat, the fear should dissipate. So we run into emotional problems and emotional disorders when these emotions get stuck in a pattern or a routine for too many years and we lose control over them. They start building their own patterns. They start becoming our fate. They're what Carl Jung's quote, until we make the unconscious things conscious. They will create, they will guide our steps, and we will call it fate. So it will look like something else is driving our life. But it's really these frozen emotions. So let's take a look at 3 ways that they become trapped in these scenarios. Number 1, through suppression, of being told don't feel that, either verbally or through actions. This is commonly installed in narcissistic families or high control religions or masculine roles. A lot of my ex-partners had a lot of strong, unhealed masculine energy. And so in those roles, they would instill that. Don't feel that emotion. You're not allowed to feel it. And I'm sure I had that as well. And in addiction cycles, this is instilled. So the first one is through suppression, these settings. The second one is through overwhelm, or when we're in freeze mode and something dangerous is happening and we're disassociated from our body. We can learn these states, or these emotions can get frozen into states. This is common in childhood trauma settings, witnessing conflict. If we have a home with a lot of conflict, even if we're not involved in the conflict as a child, if you're watching your parents in conflict often, it can create these frozen emotions, unpredictable parents, and abandonment as a child. Efren's in the waiting room. Welcome, welcome. Give me a few minutes here to finish up, and I'll let you in. Okay, so number 3 is through repetition, having the same emotion every day. And so this can happen in chronic stress. This is kind of the result as maybe an adult who had a pattern as a childhood, and then as an adult, the chronic stress that you create solidifies the pattern. Then we create toxic relationships by accident, and we have ongoing emotional neglect. So the 3 ways that these get trapped are through suppression, overwhelm, and repetition. In the last of this section, to identify this, we are going to talk about the 5 types of suppressed emotions. So this might help you. It might help you identify them, so we can start them moving. Let me let Efren know that I am finishing up here real quick. Sorry, it's kind of hard to run a live show here and communicate while I'm doing it, but I'm figuring it out. Okay, let me get to my phone. There it is. Okay, I'll let him know what's going on. And now we will get into the 5 emotions that get frozen inside the body. Number 1 is suppressed fear. Suppressed fear shows up as anxiety or controlling behavior. We want to control when we're scared. Overthinking, hypervigilance, or avoiding intimacy. Number 2 is suppressed anger. That's what I thought my whole life. I wasn't allowed to feel. And this shows up as people pleasing. If you tuned into our last episode, I was surprised at the explanation or definition of fawn mode. I had just looped it in with freeze mode as far as survival modes, because I had become a people pleaser because of my frozen emotions, my frozen anger inside. I thought that I had to please everyone around me. Emotional shutdown comes from suppressed anger. Is it? Passive aggressive communication comes from suppressed anger. Chronic resentment and depression. Number 3 is suppressed sadness. This shows up as tiredness, emptiness, emotional numbness, or an overall feeling of disconnectedness. Number 4 is very common, guilt and shame. Childhood guilt and shame are used to control children often, and in religion it's used to control. So this shows up in our life as self-sabotage, staying small, avoiding opportunities. It shows up in addictive behaviors and staying in toxic relationships. And lastly, this is another common one as well, and surprising to some people, but suppressed joy, because we weren't allowed to feel it at times as children, and it can show up as feeling undeserving, being uncomfortable with good things, pushing happiness away, and sabotage right before success. And a lot of us deal with that. That's what a lot of my coaching is helping people through that last little bit of self-sabotage right before they make it to where they want to be. And it's literally just helping them know they deserve it. So, a quick recap: the 5 emotions that can get frozen in our body: fear, anger, sadness, guilt and shame, or suppressed joy. Which one of these hits home the hardest to you? If anything is resonating with you, go ahead and comment it in the comments, even if you're watching the replay later on. So we're going to do a little 5-minute guided meditation that is going to help loosen up the emotions inside. I'm going to let Efren get in the room with me here. Someone is going crazy with those hearts. I sure appreciate it. Hey, how you doing, man? You're still muted, and remember, go mute your YouTube and then unmute you. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
Yeah, how's it going? I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
Good, good. I'm glad you were able to join me. I've got a little guided meditation that I'm going to do on helping unfreeze stuck emotions. And so
great.
if you want to just join me, I'll go through it. It's about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how fast I go.
Sure.
And then when we're done with that, I'll just open it up to talk, and I'll open up the Zoom room. So I'll do a little commercial after that to let people know they can come in if they want to join our conversation, and we'll chill for a little bit.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Awesome. All right. So I've prepared a little treat for everyone. This is just a conversational hypnosis. It is designed to allow us to identify trapped emotions and begin to release them. So I'm going to change up my music here. And you can begin now by gently allowing your eyes to relax, or simply just soften your gaze. And as you breathe normally, not trying to change or control anything, just noticing that your body already knows how to breathe, how to hold you, how to listen. And as you continue breathing, you may begin to realize that each breath gently invites you inward, away from any effort, away from all conscious analysis. And perhaps you may find you might not even need to relax at all, because sometimes relaxation happens naturally when nothing is forced, when we can let go completely and allow ourselves to breathe in peace and release everything you no longer need with the exhale. And each breath in, bringing stronger feelings of peace. And with each exhale, letting go a little more. Completely saturating yourself in peaceful feelings. With each new wave of breath, allowing any stagnant or frozen energy anywhere in the body to get ready to begin to soften inside. Remembering that all emotions are welcome to be felt here. Being felt and seen in this metaphysical space is how they begin to move again. So just observe and allow everything to just be as it is. And as the body naturally continues to breathe in love with each breath in, you give it permission to relax more and more into the rhythm of each exhale. Notice your body exactly as it is right now. And gently bring your awareness to your chest without trying to label or fix anything. Just notice. You may become curious. What emotions live here now? It might be light, open, heavy, warm, or neutral. But whatever is present, just allow it to be. And now, let your awareness drift down into your stomach. This place that so often holds survival energy, intuition, old memories. And you can quietly ask yourself, what emotion sits here? There's no right answer, no wrong answer, just a noticing. And as we gently bring our attention up into the throat, the place of expression, of truth, and sometimes silence, you may begin to wonder, what emotion has been waiting here? Perhaps one that never has been given words to speak until now. Embrace whatever you find there with love. And now our awareness moves into the shoulders, the place where responsibility is often carried. where burdens are stored without our permission. And you just might notice what emotion has been carried here for a long time. And just by noticing begins the release, the transmutation. By noticing the frozen emotion with presence, sitting with it in love, and listening to the story that it's been telling. We are witnessing the pain of a long ignored wound. This is the beginning of its unraveling. And now, we can gently move our attention to the jaw, this place of control, of holding back, of bracing. And you might discover what emotion clenches here. And as you notice it, you don't have to judge it. Just sit with it. And now, our awareness flows into the back, the place of support, and sometimes of feeling unsupported. And as you may sense, what emotions rest here. And even if it feels vague or unclear, your unconscious understands exactly what is being noticed. And as we allow the new observations to settle in, something important begins to happen inside. Because emotions that are felt no longer need to be stored. So you may begin to realize that none of these emotions were ever wrong. They were only messengers, protectors, signals from an earlier time, marking unresolved traumas from the past. They are simply the missing understandings of a time when you lacked the knowledge that you have now. That's right. And as you continue breathing, you might imagine that each emotion you noticed has a shape, a color, or a temperature. And you don't need to consciously decide what those are. They can simply appear. And now, imagine that beneath every emotion, no matter how heavy, no matter how old, there is energy. And that energy can change form. Just like ice becomes water, and water becomes mist. And you might begin to realize that you can imagine that with each gentle breath out, the density of those emotions begins to soften, not disappearing, just slowly transforming. And you watch this process on the screen of your mind. It becomes more and more obvious that peace is not something you force. It is something that emerges when all resistance dissolves. And as you allow this peace to naturally emerge with each willful release, it can become easier to imagine a warm, gentle presence beginning in the center of your chest, not pushing anything away, just an unconditional allowing. This presence might slowly begin transmutation. It might begin to feel more and more like compassion, acceptance, or unconditional love. And as this peaceful presence begins to expand outward, flowing into the stomach, bringing with it safety, it can slowly move up into the throat, igniting truth as it passes through. These higher vibration emotions begin to amplify as we move our attention into the shoulders, bringing a long-awaited release. Enjoying whatever feelings are stirring inside now. Gently sitting with them, allowing them to be exactly how they are. And now we can move to the jaw, bringing ease. As these feelings build here, let's keep moving down into the back, bringing support, rooting to safety down into the earth. And as these feelings move through your body and stir and awaken, you may discover something surprising. That the emotions you once called lower vibration were all simply love, just frozen in a compressed form in the past. Love that didn't feel safe to be expressed. Love that was never mirrored back. Love that had to protect itself. And as that realization lands, your body may naturally choose to let go of anything it no longer needs. Because peace is not the absence of emotion. Peace is the natural state of a body with emotions freely flowing through it. So now, imagine what it feels like to be held tightly by your own awareness, to actually experience your own unconditional love, not as something earned, but as something remembered. And your unconscious can learn that from this moment forward, whenever an emotion appears in the body, it can be met with curiosity, compassion, and conscious breath. And that is how alchemy happens, easily, naturally, effortlessly, not by force, but with conscious presence. And now, you can allow yourself to gently return, bringing back with you everything useful, everything healing, knowing that this process continues automatically long after conscious awareness shifts. Over the next few days, weeks, hours, or months, your body-mind connection will grow stronger. These two parts will learn how to communicate, and every frozen emotion stuck in time will begin to release and begin to transmute and return to its original form. So when you're ready for this change, you may open your eyes, come back to this present moment. Take your time. Well, thank you all for joining me. I think we have a few still watching. We lost one. They fell asleep on me. Thank you, Efren, for joining me live. I appreciate it. Let me just remind everyone that you can join the Hack Nation WhatsApp group with the link in the description. You can subscribe to our channel to receive these notifications when we're doing these events. Or you can jump into the Zoom room like Zephron has done. Efron, sorry, I'm so tired, man.
I'm half cat. I'm half cat, half person. I'm Zephron.
Zeph, I was thinking of my cat's name, Zeph. That's
Yeah.
why I have a hard time with your name, because it looks like my name on writing, but it has my cat's first letter. Oh man, how you doing?
Hanging in there. Pretty okay. Yeah, I'm doing okay. How about yourself?
Good, good, good. Well, I know you weren't expecting to do a guided meditation, but how did that feel?
Good. It's yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I just had a cat jump on my
There
keyboard.
he is. There he is.
Oh, I thought he ended the live stream. He jumped right on the keyboard. Say hi, buddy.
Hey,
We're back
Zeph.
outside tonight, so that's why he's coming on my lap, because he's cold. Oh wow! Well, were you able to hear any of what we were talking about, or did you just come in? Or you just getting in?
I heard a little bit of it. I heard like maybe a couple of minutes. Yeah, I heard a couple of minutes of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just mainly talking about emotions and how to recognize frozen emotions inside the body. And sometimes that's hard to do because it just comes out as anxiety, and that taints the way we see everything. So
Yeah.
that's why these conversations are so important. Let me quickly go through all my chats to make sure that nobody is trying to communicate. All right. Well, I don't think I had much more material to go over. Let me see what I got here. I think, kind of to summarize what I've been talking about for the last hour here, is that emotional alchemy is just learning to recognize when feelings are present in the body. It kind of goes hand in hand to recognizing your state, but a state of consciousness is different than an emotion, because you can be in a certain state and have emotions come up and not change state. So we're just getting more specific, I think, but it can get a little confusing when we're talking about it. So,
I hear you. I hear you.
but the guided meditation that I just did, the whole point of that's kind of how I fixed my brain, is writing out scripts like that and getting myself into a peaceful unconscious state, and guiding my unconscious mind and just giving it the directives to look for frozen emotions, to see signs of them. And so that's why I think these events are so helpful. Getting a lot of people watching them, actually even the long form of them, which is interesting. Before I couldn't get anyone to watch a 10-minute video, but now I'm getting people to watch the whole 2.5 hours.
Oh, good.
But I think that being presented in this way is really going to speed up how they're able to recognize states and recognize emotional changes inside, because of these conversational hypnosis sessions. So I'll be interested to know if you feel any difference over the next few days of how you see emotions after that experience. So let me know how it goes.
So I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep it in mind, certainly. Yeah. you know, um, it's interesting. A couple of pretty violent things happened around the world yesterday and today, and so for a while, my focus was other outside directed. Something happened in Australia. There was a shooting in Australia. I don't know if you heard about that.
I saw some news and I was so engrossed in getting ready for this, I hadn't looked at it yet. But yeah, I saw some news articles. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, but it's weird because for several hours I was like, the the frame of reference was outside of me on these events, on these kind of like, there's a shooting back east. But listening to the meditation kind of brings you back to awareness and consciousness, so it's just, I feel instantly kind of pulled back from
Oh, good.
the frenzied, and it's kind of frenzied because it's kind of these events are pretty disturbing. The
Yeah,
frenzied stuff out that's going on out there,
exactly.
then remembering getting back to what's inside.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that is the whole point. I'm glad that you brought that up, because the whole purpose of a meditation practice is to learn how to get back to the inside. And it's important, no matter what, to learn how to assess the raw data outside, because you need to know if the building you're in is being shot up. You need to know to get out of it, and you can't just ignore it. You can't go meditate if that's happening. That would be dumb, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're learning how to balance the two. You really need to look at the state of the world and see, are these things real? And I've just been doing that for so long in my 10 years of waking up and realizing what's happening. I've just seen that every day the worst is presented, and I've just decided to ignore it until I see proof of something. But every day I still look at it, or every couple of days. I had seen that brewing, and I was kind of in the back of my head like, I better check and see what's been going on. But again, what's happening inside is always much more important if there's no clear signs that the danger is right there in front of you. To me,
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
because I've lost, honestly, years. Like, just say, take the 2012 prediction. Maybe I didn't outrightly believe it. Everyone was like, 2012, the world's going to end or whatever. And in fact, I was a Jehovah's Witness at the time. And I'll never forget, one day I was knocking on doors, and it was about 6 months before 2012. And someone opened the door and they're like, oh, are you guys 2012ers? Like, we're like telling them the world's going to end or something. Now looking back, we were, but we didn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with that date. But I watched that and the Y2K scare that everything was going to shut down. And after seeing those and how much fear was presented, I realized that no matter what, the forces that be are using the fear to drive us like cattle. And so I learned the true saying of the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And I've learned that we just have to control it to a healthy fear. Because looking around, if I look around at the world we live in, I'm scared to death. But once I realize I can still live in here not knowing what's going to happen, and with World War III looming and with, meteors looming and all that stuff, and until I see them, I can ignore it. It gives me time to build something. Look what we're doing here. In 3 months, we're getting a huge community going. And in the past, I've allowed that fear to freeze me, So that's one thing about me. I'll probably be doing one of these events. If the world ends, I'll be just streaming until it's over,
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. It's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that is. So it's really good practice to learn how to go to a guided meditation or to a binaural beat, or go take your shoes off and ground to the earth and get your state back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really proud of you for doing that today. It sounds like that stuff was kind of weighing on your mind and getting you, it could have taken over, and it's good that you stopped what you were doing to focus.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had a few things to do this weekend, and I think I got them all done. And I had someone work on my car, and he's a good mechanic, and he comes out to my place to work on it, and it was a big job. It was a big job. I helped him with it a little bit, changing motor mounts out. I had a couple of motor mounts that needed to be swapped out. So it was a big
job.
He has a big job, and he was able to do it, and got took care of him, and he'd kind of been putting it off for several days. I was like, well, please, can you do it on Sunday then? He's like, okay, yeah. And he didn't even feel like coming out.
Oh, wow.
But he did, he did. So we got taken care of, and then I got him paid, and then last night I usually don't go out much. I actually went out last night, pizza with my unusual friend.
Yeah.
And that it went okay, but you get everyone's energy. You get everyone's kind of like, and when you have a friend as unusual as my friend is, she'll tell you about like other people seeing this or looking at you when you're not even noticing. I'm like, whatever. It's like, I basically, they'll start seeing that and they might not be true. You know what I mean? It's just, it's even more information that you're not even seeing, that they could even be creating in their own mind.
Well, the way I see it is usually it's a body memory from the past. I've worked with a lot of clients with real body memories, like human, I can't say the word on YouTube, but trafficking, animals or goods. And I've worked with people that have gone through that and have been chased and have actually had the experience, but I've had to work them through the body memories of saying, well, this is a different time, you have different people with you, and they start to get out of those body memories, but they're hard to tell because they feel real. That's kind of the frozen emotions that we're talking about today coming up. They will tell a whole story, by the look of someone's face or something that reminds you of an old memory, and it triggers that trapped emotion. Then that story will come up. They're looking at you, they're doing this, and usually it takes another perspective of somebody who's in that moment looking around to say, no, that's not happening right now. Maybe that happened to you in the past.
Yeah.
But until we learn that that's what's happening, they look crazy to us. And that's really what most of humans' communication breakdown, in my opinion, as a neurolinguistic programming practitioner, most of us are talking about a situation and we're moving to the future and to the past, and we're mismatching, and I'm talking about the future event, you're talking about the past event, and we're like, no.
Yeah.
And so we're all time traveling, really. And so what you experience is you were in the present moment having fun, and your friend in front of you was in the past living in hell, unfortunately.
It's interesting because like she was accusing me of looking at people I wasn't even looking. I wasn't even looking. I'm like, huh? I don't.
Yeah.
And just and then imparting meaning to it where it wasn't.
Yeah, I've had that in relationships where you're in a grocery store and you know your partner who's in a body memory is like, that girl walked by and gave you the googly eyes and you gave them back, and you're like, what? I just said hi and excuse me, I'm trying to get the soup, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and then sometimes maybe they are seeing flirtiness on the other side that you missed, but the point is you missed it, you know. It's like, what are you upset about? But they're in a
Yeah.
body memory, and when you realize that, you can quit fighting with them, you can quit being defensive about it and just say, well, I see you feel that way, that didn't happen for me. When you're ready to listen to my perspective, I'll talk. Until then, you know, most of the time they want to speak for you when they're in the body memory. And my answer to that is always, well, it sounds like you don't need me for this conversation. You go ahead and have it without me. Tell me when you want my opinion. You know, just do it somewhere else. So, but
Thankfully,
yeah,
it
it's hard to
wasn't too
deal with that.
intense. Thankfully, it wasn't. Thankfully, it wasn't that intense. So,
Yeah.
but you know, what's strange about her is, you know, she ended up. You know, I ended up spring for a pizza dinner, and you know, which is fine because I was like, you know, I'll try something new. You know, I'll try something new. I really don't usually do that.
Yeah.
And she wanted some drinks, and so she ordered what type of pizza she wanted. I'm like, okay, that sounds reasonable. It's kind of close to what I want. And
Yeah.
she wanted some drinks, and I'm like, look, you're gonna take care of your drinks on your own. I mean, I'm not buying your drinks. No,
That's
I
good.
don't have that kind of skin invested in this game at all. You know what I mean?
That's
So
cool.
so she did. You know, she bought a cocktail and she bought a beer.
Yeah.
She liked the pizza, but there's you know with this person, there's always something. She's always asking for a little bit extra, like another inch, another something.
Uh,
Immediately before we went to dinner for the pizza, we were at a cafe, and I bought her coffee. I was having a coffee, and I told her then, I'm like, look, we'll get you your you know, I promised to get you your special coffee here, but you know, if
yeah.
you want to buy pastry, that's on you. You know what I mean? Because we're just friends. And then so she goes up there to the counter, this coffee shop, and you know, she gets her coffee, but now she's asking a bunch of questions about each type of pastry. She's asking millions of questions because like she's just micro analyzing every single thing everything she has to buy. She's micro analyzing it, like, oh, what's better? What does it taste like? What does this taste like? You know, it's a simple, like, you know, they have scones and muffins,
Yeah.
standard stuff, you know, like something that you and me, if if we had a taste for it, we wouldn't question it. We say, "Oh, I'll take that blueberry muffin or whatever it is, or that
Mm.
blueberry scone." But no, she's got to ask the person up there, like, "What's it smell like? What's it? Can I? What's that?" And the guy behind the counter, who was the coffee barista employee, he was offering her a little sample. Like she was so into it, and he was a nice guy. He was a nice guy. He was offering
She's
her a little
manifesting
sample.
free stuff with all of her
There
curiosity.
you go. Exactly. And I made a joke. I'm like, he's gonna give you the plastic one. Watch. He's gonna give you the sample, like the plastic fruit, you know, the wax
Yeah.
fruit. He's gonna stupid little joke.
Yeah.
And so what she does, he's nice enough to take out one of these banana breads out, right? Because she was asking about a banana bread. He's nice enough to take it out. Dude, she gets so close to it, she bends down into it, man. She just, you know, she sniffs it. I swear to you. She goes down there and she puts her nose like maybe a centimeter. It was less than an inch away from the banana bread. And I'm thinking, man, she just ruined it. You know, I mean, this is a 52-year-old woman, man. She just puts her nose and is like sucking up all the aroma. And I'm
Oh,
thinking, no one's going to want to buy this now. The kid, you know, the barista's not going to. And sure enough, the barista just offers it to her. I'm like,
yeah.
oh man, for free, just gives it to her. I'm like,
Wow.
and I'm just like, wow. And I compliment the barista. I'm like, man, you're really slick because
You're super.
he's not offended. You know what I mean? If it was someone like me, I'd be like, get your nose out of my get your nose out of my banana bread. It's for customers. What are you doing? You know what I mean? But he's slick. He's real helpful.
Yeah.
He's just like, you can have it.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. But
And
see,
then,
those are really good situations, especially when you're at this point in your mindfulness practice, to start looking at the raw data in front of you. And I play a little game I always try to see what lesson I'm supposed to learn in the moment. And because that would irritate me too, if I'm offered to buy something for someone and they're, and then they're more than happy to spend my money, but then they're
Yeah.
really thoughtful of their money, I would
Yeah.
be irritated. But instantly, as you're describing it, I would start saying, oh, okay, so what I'm supposed to learn now is how to nicely set boundaries without getting pissed.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get pissed. It's easy to, but what I've learned is when I go out and do something, I decide to have a good time before I leave. Like the other day, I went to the store to buy some medicine, and a friend of ours said, "Oh, this store over here has a kind that you like, and it's cheaper." And so we went there, and the people there were not into giving you deals, and they were basically just made fun of me for wanting a good deal on this higher end medicine. Long story short, I got to the point where I realized they were judging me, and I'm like, all right, all I got is this. Just give me that one. We're good. And what I had decided when I left is I was going to have a good time. This guy was trying to put me down. He was judging me. And I decided in that moment, I don't need to look at it. I've got the information. They don't have it cheaper here. I'm going to have to get the lesser kind. And I just made the decision, told him to have a good day, thanked him for his help. And then our poor friend who suggested it was kind of like, oh, no, sorry about that. I'm like, no, I decided to have a good time when I left. As soon as I realized that we weren't going to get what we wanted, I got what I could get. And let's just go. Let's go have fun.
Yeah.
And in that case, everything's a lesson. Everything is a class for you. And I got to learn how to be judged and to navigate through it real quick, not put up with any BS, and just get what I needed and get out of there, and then wish the guy a good day and not think about him for the rest of the day. What a jerk, putting me down, whatever.
Oh, good for you. That's really advanced, man. I
Because
wish I could.
really, he wasn't putting me down. He was showing a judgment that he held inside of his operating system, and I was triggering it probably because I look like I'm homeless at times because my hair. But I have a reason for the way I do my hair, and so I don't care. I don't see it. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, no, I get it. No, no,
you
that's
know,
really advanced. I mean, that's really advanced because, like, in that, no, that's I should learn that. I really need to
and
learn that.
that's why I'm bringing it out right now, because you could walk away from that instance and do what most people do. You can talk about the raw data and tell everyone about and not that that's what you're doing. You're trying to process, and that's why I'm glad you come here to have healing conversations. That's what this is all about. And I'm pointing out the fact that you learn how to be in a comfortable environment and set your boundaries, and that you will take that into a romantic relationship. But if you can consciously see you're doing it now and get really good at it with her, then when you have a divine partner who's not toxic and thinks of your feelings, how much easier will that be when you're able to even deal with the less skilled person, right?
Yeah, it's fun, and it's funny you say that because in that whole process, I didn't get upset, but it was just I thought it was curious because she always does it, which is fine. Okay, that's great because I
Yeah,
know she's gonna buy that pastry she wants on her own. That's the
yeah,
deal. And she's gonna do it. I don't care what kind of deal she gets, but the thing was it was so awkward, asking like 100 questions rapid fire about about some pastry. And she always does it that like, and then the barista he was skillful, like the way he dealt with her.
yeah.
Like he was so patient and giving and skillful that I was even able to crack a joke with him, like, yeah, give her the wax version. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then even when he offered, like when I saw her dip her nose like right basically onto the banana bread, I was like, whoa, what's he gonna? And he
What
just
did
like
you do?
he didn't miss a beat, man. He was like, oh, you can, he's very polite. You can have that. He didn't.
That's
There was no
awesome.
disgust. There was no. And I even said, man, this guy's slick. You're really good at what you do. And my friend took it negatively. I wasn't trying to put her down.
Yeah,
I was praising the barista for having the emotional intelligence to navigate that little awkward thing to where he was nice enough to give her that, he was
yeah.
nice enough to give it to her and let her, and I says, man, you're really good. And she takes that negative.
But yeah, that might make the whole situation just feel a little different if you start looking at as, it's kind of a selfish way to look at life, but it really is. Your energy is attracting scenarios to teach you lessons, and every one of your triggers, everything you attract to you, everything you've allowed to be around you, like this person you might think that they are a certain way, but you've chosen them in your life. You had the opportunity to ghost them, to not partake in a relationship with them. So for whatever reason you did that, you can learn from it.
Yeah.
And I found every time I picked a partner, I was picking the perfect partner to trigger every one of my childhood wounds. And I thought they were the worst partner, but it was actually exactly what was supposed to happen.
Gotcha. It was, what was weird was that kid who served her, he looked like, do you know who the Indian philosopher, spiritualist, Krishnamurti? You've heard of Krishnamurti, right?
I've heard the name, yeah.
Jiddu Krishnamurti. Well, he started off as a theosophist, but he became a spiritualist.
Hmm.
Uh, he started off in India, was educated in Europe, became famous in America, and spent most of his time in California giving lectures on spirituality. He was kind of like he was huge in the 70s and in the 80s. He passed away, I think, in the late 80s. And this kid, I swear to you, was Indian American, was from Indian American from India. The kid had the same parted hair. He looked like Krishnamurti. I swear to you, he looked
Huh.
like a young Krishnamurti. I didn't tell him that. I didn't. I
Yeah.
was just fascinated by him because he was really smooth, really intelligent. And I'm sitting down, and then so me and my friend sit down, and we go to our table. We have our coffee, and she has her coffee and her banana bread that she nosed through, and or that she plowed through with her nose and got it free. And we're sitting there. And so the kid who served her, he comes out and I says, "Hey, you taking off?" And he said, "No, I'm on my 10-minute break." I said, "Oh, well, hey man, you did good." It's like, and he's like, "Oh man," he tells me, "Hey man, I like your shoes." I'm like, "Oh yeah, you can get them here." And so we had a little conversation and I told him, "Man, you're really good." And every time I said that, she was like, my friend got a little triggered. And so he goes outside to take his break, and then she starts implying that the kid likes me. I'm like, "Look, man, look, the kid, he looks like Krishnamurti. That's why I'm fascinated. I didn't tell him that, but he looks the way he combs his hair is just like,
Yeah.
and then she doesn't, and then she twists it into something else, right? As
Hmm.
if like, oh, I've got some attraction for this kid. No, no, no. I just find this kid fascinating because the way he handled himself with you. I
Yeah.
mean, you're not. I mean, I didn't tell her she was being obnoxious, but she was. You know, you don't go to a place and order food and stick your nose in it and say that let me sniff it first.
Yeah.
Basically put your nose right, and then
It's
basically
hard to be around somebody who has behavior that would embarrass us, but it's good you were able to just let her be herself and
yeah.
see how it played out. And I'm shocked she got it for free. That's interesting.
But my point is, this kid who served her looked like a famous spiritualist. And then later that night, my friend looked it up on YouTube, looked up this because she'd never heard of Krishnamurti either, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh my God, you're right. He does look like him. He
How
looks
funny.
exactly like."
How funny.
Yeah.
Well, let me just pause here real quick because we have a couple watching on YouTube. Somebody looks like somebody just joined us. And so I just wanted to mention that the link for Zoom is in the description. And if anyone would like to hop on and talk about emotional alchemy, frozen emotions, or anything about emotions, or at this point, we just want interaction. So if you just want to talk about mental health and meditation or all things metaphysical, hop on the Zoom call with Efren and me and join the conversation.
It was strange, but it was just because in that kind of strange sort of, I got to meet this kid and it was kind of neat. He was just kind of neat in what he did. Very
Yeah.
smooth, very like, you know.
Yeah, it is nice to watch somebody who's pro and can handle situations like that in a way that keep everyone comfortable. Just
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice. Yeah, and that's why I actually learned from Eckhart Tolle in one of his books. I think it was a talk he was doing for the Power of Now or something. But somebody had come up and asked him about how to deal with a toxic partner that they were in a very narcissistically abusive relationship. And he had the most gentle way to approach it. He was talking about how that kind of interaction is, it takes both sides to make it work, and that they needed to learn their side of it. And if they could handle it, he was like, that can be damaging to your mental health. It could really, lead to very depressing times. So if that's happening, you might need to get yourself to safety. But if you can handle it emotionally and see it as a test and trace all of your triggers back inside yourself, it can be a tool to increase the speed of gaining consciousness. It can increase your meditation practice.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so from that day forward, I started watching everything I would get triggered by other people. And for about 2 months, I was shocked. I would challenge everything that I would get upset by other people. And I realized it always came down to me being impatient or me judging, and before too long, I would just find myself just sitting and letting people be themselves. And life was so much easier. And I didn't care what they did. And I was just there to interact if they wanted to be peaceful,
You know what you're really doing with me. You know what you're and for the audience out there, whoever's watching, you know what you're really doing. You're doing what I mean. You're doing obviously it's important healing work, but I had like as I've told you, as I've relayed to you before, I have there's a guy, a Zen practitioner back in the East Coast
Mhm.
who's like who's my meditation coach, and one time he told me the most important thing you can do right now is to become awake, and by that he meant do the meditation practice daily, formally, and then do it informally as you walk through your day.
Yeah.
What That's basically what you're imparting right now. What you're just saying, what you're imparting, it basically reminds me of
Yeah.
what that guy said, you know, several months ago. But with the way you do it with different modalities, and it's really neat. It's like
Well, thank you.
because that guy, bless his heart, he knows it's just formal meditation, You don't add anything to it. Just you just watch your breath. But
Most
just in this
people,
conversation,
yeah, most people reach presence, or what you might call enlightenment, through a long process, and then they have a really hard time articulating how it happened. But I was very fortunate because early on in the process of learning, I started learning from some very smart people, and nothing that I teach or do or know comes from me. It is just a combination. I always say I'm standing on the backs of giants, because all I've done is taken the time to understand other people's work and then put it into practice. And so that's what these events are about, is we're taking emotional and mental health help, and we're approaching it from every angle. We're learning how to see the state of being. That's what one whole episode is on, is how to recognize your state. This one is all on how emotions work and how frozen emotions get stuck. They only get stuck when our body disassociates and our young mind doesn't know how to process it. It leaves an emotional marker, just like a bookmark. If you're listening to an audible book and you put a little bookmark, it leaves a bookmark back there. Only these bookmarks will show up, and they'll present themselves over top of the raw data and make you think you're living them over and over and over until you pay attention to them. And so, unfortunately, what's happened with most people is we've gotten hypnotized to look outside at the patterns of what's happening, and we've never been taught that we're creating it. We're magnetized to either what we love or fear, and our power has been taken from us, and so we fear things happening, and we don't realize that if we just spend time loving what is good in our life right now, being grateful for the little shred of good that we have, that will multiply. We'll realize instantly after a week of being grateful for what we love about our life that we have double what we thought we had. It was just being buried by the imagination. We didn't have it, and looking outside for what we didn't have. And so that process, it unravels everything, and it is all about recognizing how you feel all day long. Your body, the feeling that is being emitted, is the magnet that you're drawing to you. So if you're in anxiety, you're attracting anxiety. If you go out into the world thinking that your job is too hard for you and you're not smart enough to do it, you're going to be radiating that energy everywhere, and you're going to attract scenarios to show you that it's not true, but it's going to look like it is until you unravel it.
yeah.
And so that's what we're talking about here. And none of it has to do with the people. That's why I love the scenario you brought out with your friend. Like, most people would have spent this time talking about how ironic their behavior was, and you've talked about how you process their behavior, and you know, and any judgments you had inside, and that's how you heal. That's the product of your work coming to
What
fulfillment.
I mean, and you're unraveling it even further. Is like you what you're describing is a process of becoming awake, emotionally aware and awake, and it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because you're approaching it from so many different modalities at once. It's great because my guy on the East Coast, I respect him. I respect him completely. And basically, yeah, no, this is great. This is really like gold. What you're
Good.
yeah.
I'm glad that it's helpful.
And what's strange in terms of body, I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. Like going back to kind of what we're hinting at or what we might be pointing to. So basically, when we had the dinner, when I had my dinner with my friend, she got the pizza she wanted, which is fine because that's kind of like it's kind of basically what I would have gotten to. I would have gotten different meat, but whatever,
Yeah.
And she liked it, and she made sure that she got her half, man. She just, she cut it, she decided which pieces I was gonna get. She decided which pieces she was gonna get, and all this stuff, and she enjoyed it. But like, I called her this morning and literally, she said, "Did that pizza make you sick? I think I got food poisoning." I was
Oh,
like, "No, no, I didn't get sick at all. Like what?" And I
yeah.
shouldn't even be eating pizza because like I don't do well with gluten. I don't do well
Yeah.
with gluten at all. And so this is like a thick crust, deep dish, right?
Yeah.
And it's ironic that I called her and she's like, "Oh, I got sick. I don't know if it was the." I says, "Well, you had two cocktails. Maybe that was it. I didn't get sick." You know. And she's like, "Oh, I felt like I was going to throw up. I did." But and this is so I was calling her like at 11, and I'm like, "Man." So she goes through all that way of deciding where to go, what she wants, and then she can't even enjoy it the next day. Or even that night, she couldn't sleep and she felt sick. And I
Yeah.
was fine. I was fine. I ate my whole half.
Yeah.
And it's just weird how like she's so sort of intensely on the more negative side that I guess she just couldn't enjoy what she had.
Yeah. Well, the system creates the negative feelings. That's what I learned. My own mother, going out with her, I realized that she was always on the look. If we went out to dinner, she was on the look for a mistake because she wanted them to perform and bring hot food on time, and that's what the tip was depending on. And
Oh,
I spent 20 years in a service business, and I learned that there are two kinds of people out there. There are people like that who are looking for, did I get my share? Did it, are you treating your customer right? And then there's the other kind of people who, like I said earlier, just want to have a good time no matter what. They've decided that this experience is going to be good. You're the choice they made, and they're going to make it happen. And I've just learned that the more I became that person, I just ended up doing business more and more with that kind of person, because my magnetism would attract that. But I saw that in window cleaning. Um, I only had a few customers that got really upset with me over the 20 years, and every single one of them, there was another issue behind it. Like one of them, it was an artist, and we had knocked over a piece of art that they had. It was loose wood in a window, and we told them we couldn't clean the window with the loose wood up there, and they said, no, it's art, you can't hurt it, just work around it. Well, then my guy touched it and the whole thing fell over, and she was mad. And
oh,
so
wow.
I went back over to talk to her, and I find out later that she was actually just sad that her dog was dying and she had to put him down the next day, and that's what she was mad about. And so the more you heal and the more conscious you are, you'll start seeing that most of the problems from other people that they try to drag you into are just their own problems.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
like your friend here who had a good meal, got the meal provided for her, then the next day decides that maybe the meal made her sick. Well, over my 10 years of emotional alchemy and learning how to identify and unfreeze stuck emotions, I fully believe that every upset stomach I've ever had has been emotional freeze. It has been a a body memory coming up of something I hadn't dealt with, and me projecting it over top of the wrong, it's like you're projecting the wrong map over the wrong territory. You're projecting something from the past over the present, and it doesn't fit, and you go home with an upset stomach. Those are the times I had food poisoning. I mean, I'm not saying food poisoning doesn't exist. Maybe it does. But since I've been living in my van, I don't have a refrigerator, and I'll make food and eat off of it for 3 days in the summer, and I've never gotten sick because I think that emotions are what make us sick. I'm not suggesting anyone do that. I'm just saying, maybe I'm superhuman, or maybe when we have a balanced system, maybe we don't have all those problems anymore. Maybe most of it is emotions. And
maybe, you might be right, because I wasn't sick at all. I mean, I was, and I'm the one who's got the sensitive gut. I didn't get sick.
Yep. And you see her decision-making process. She can't just buy a drink. Like you said, we'd want a blueberry muffin. We'd be like, I want one or two, and we'd buy it and eat it. But she's got to be like, oh, I don't know. Is it? And that's what maybe caused the sickness. Maybe all the indecisive second guessing yourself over the smallest decision, maybe that upsets your stomach at the end of the day. And and how do you explain that to someone? You can't. All you can do is love them while they're doing it, and be thankful to all the gods of the universe that you don't do that anymore.
No, it's funny. But I mean, I get it, but like, it's just, it was funny, and apropos of nothing, like, I think, so she had she ordered an espresso martini, which I've never heard of. I'm like, a martini with espresso in it? What's that? Oh, no, it doesn't have a shot of espresso. I'm like, okay, whatever, but it kind of looks like, so that's what she has, and then she wants a beer. And so, once her martini, when she's done with martini, then she wants a beer, and so she wants to order like an IPA, like kind of a craft beer, and so she places that order, and then the waitress comes back with the beer, and my friend tastes it, and she's like, "Oh man, this tastes like Coors Light. It tastes real cheap. It tastes like this isn't what I ordered." And at that point, I kind of I didn't really believe her. I was like, I don't know. Well, I mean, it's up to you. I mean, it's your beer. You do what you need to do. I mean, I'm not going to suggest that you just drink it and be quiet. You do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so she flags the waitress down, and she says, "This doesn't taste like IPA. This tastes like Coors Light." And then the young waitress was like, "Oh, I think I saw them. They emptied the tap on yours. They emptied it. It was what was remained at the bottom of the tap. I'm sorry. I think that's what it was. It was the bottom of the tap for that IPA." And then so my friend says, "Can I get a different one? Because I don't like this one." She's like, "Yeah. What else do you have?" And there's like some Pilsner or something. And so they give her. So the waitress comes back, gives her a Pilsner, and then she likes that one. But then, but get this. This was what's weird. It might be karmic or something. But so I pick up the check. And I look at it once we're all done. And lo and behold, on that check are two drinks. One's an espresso cocktail, and the other one says Coors Light. I'm like, you know what? You were right. They did serve you a Coors Light on the first one. I wasn't trusting her.
Yeah.
But it was weird. And like, man, and then we pointed it out to the waitress.
Yeah, that's funny.
The waitress. And she's like, oh, that's the wrong check. Oh, I'm sorry, we gave you the wrong check. We're gonna give you the right check. And so I'm like, what? And so she goes back and gets another check, and it's like $1 more. And it's like, this one says the IPA and says, hey. And so it's $1 more. I'm like, okay, whatever, And like, it's just weird, man. I don't know whether, like, the reason I say this is like, wow, my friend wasn't kidding around. It was a Coors Light, like that they gave her. Usually she's just kind of paranoid.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where I don't trust her half the time, right?
Yeah.
And but they did give her a Coors Light, and I was thinking, man, that's weird. And then I'm thinking, was that karma for her getting that free? Was that the universe getting that free? What do you call it?
For buying the bread with her nose.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Exactly. Yeah, was that karma? What was up with that?
But yeah, that happens with people like that. If they're not happy, if they're rarely happy when they complain about something, we don't listen. And it's funny you say that because my ex, the 18-year marriage that I had in the cult, she was a wine drinker, and so was I would just do whatever my partner would always do. So she drank wine every day, and so we'd go buy this certain kind of wine. We'd buy a gallon bottle of it. And one day we got home, and she liked this certain kind. She goes, that's not the right kind. And I said, it says that on the label. It's got to be the right kind. And for 2 days, she's like, no, 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 that's not the right kind. And then I go over and I take a drink of it. And for sure enough, I didn't believe her because she's always, there's always a problem. Always. And I'm like, I see the label, but no, the actual company had put the wrong wine in it. And I could taste it. I was like,
wow.
right. That is the other kind of wine.
Okay.
It's funny how that works. It's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. They're
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
that's not right. And then when they actually have something that's not right, everyone around them is like, yeah, whatever,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. It was.
Yeah. And with me, it was so like I knew there was no way they put the wrong kind of wine in there. But the second I finally tasted it, I was like, oh my goodness, you were right.
And I was wondering, like, because the difference was only like $1. Like my friend was saying, oh yeah, no, they didn't make a mistake. They just tried to upsell. They tried to give me a cheaper. I'm like, well, I mean, so the difference is only $1. Why would they do that? And I was thinking maybe like I just thought it was an honest mistake on the server's part.
Yeah.
And I still think that. And I think maybe the server picked up on my friend's energy and didn't want to disclose that it was just, that it was a mistake that because obviously the server rang it up as Coors Light, right? But
might be I'll get in trouble, and it might have been easier just to say wrong check. Yeah, absolutely. Probably could sense that there was going to be a conspiracy theory crafted about. Yeah.
From my friend, not from me. Because
absolutely. Yeah.
Because during the dinner, my friend was she was complaining about to even the manager. She was not complaining about the beer. She was complaining about the people in the booth back of us, and they were really loud. There's a bunch of guys a couple of them were drunk, and they were eating pizza too, but they were mostly drunk, and they were just really loud. And I was just like, "Don't worry about it. It's just they'll leave at some point." So she gets up to the manager, and he doesn't really do anything, but maybe the waitress saw that and it was like, oh gosh, this lady's going to be trouble or something. I gotta, if I guess I made a mistake and I can't admit it. So maybe she's picking up on that energy.
Yeah. I got so good at that as an empath running a service business that my last year in business, I had it happen 2 times that last year that somebody would call me, and within just nailing down the details to go out and give them a bid for doing window cleaning, I could sense they were going to be in trouble. And both times I literally would get 2 minutes, maybe 30 seconds into the call, and I would just stop and say, oh, you know what? And I'd literally just be driving down the road with my crew. I'd be like, actually, I'm looking at my schedule, and when do you need this done? And I'd make them tell me when they needed it done. And I'd be like, oh man, I'm so sorry. We are booked 2 months past that. You're going to have to try us next year.
Oh, wow.
And I just, my crew one time, they were like, we are dead. We don't have any work. And I would hang up the phone. I'm like, you don't want that work.
That's funny.
You don't want to go work for that guy, because the second they accept your bid, they own you for 2 hours, and then they own you for, I had a 30-day clean guarantee on window cleaning. And so I made sure that the people I was dealing with were nice, because for 30 days they could call me back to redo the job if they said I didn't do it right. So I was picky about who I worked with.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, you get really good at sensing that the trouble people.
Yeah.
And just making deals with them, actually just planning things with them. Like what you were doing was pretty safe. If you're bored and you don't have someone to hang out with, it's pretty low, low risk to go have dinner and,
yeah.
risk being embarrassed by a nose purchase of some bread.
I got another thing that was funny. I mean, we were initially we wanted to try out. Actually, I wanted to try out a really new kind of hip pizza place. And I said, well, let's give it a shot. But it was so crowded. It was so crowded, and it was a 25-minute wait. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm really hungry right now. I don't want to wait that long. I don't know about this place. It was really packed. It looks like. And then there were so many people in there. They were kind of, I guess I was making jokes. Some of the people I made some joke, and one of the people who was waiting in line kind of was smiling and was kind of laughing, and so I told the waitress who gave us the menu, who was basically like telling us how long the wait was going to be. We're like, no, I was basically apologizing to her, like, we'll go someplace else because, you know, I'm really hungry and this looks great, but I'm a chow hound. You know, I'm really hungry. I'm a chow hound. And then everyone kind of laughed. He was like, you know, the waitress kind of laughed. The people behind me waiting were kind of laughed. And then we walk out, and my friend, being the negative person that she is, she's like, "You shouldn't have said that. That's embarrassing." You know, chow hound. You know, she took that to mean. I swear to you, she took that to mean that she gave it a salacious kind of perverted meaning to it. I'm like, no, all
Yeah.
that it means is I like to eat.
Yeah.
But in her own, I just couldn't understand, like, why does everything have to take on like a, you know, with the kid at the coffee shop, with, you know, it's like, why does everything have to be twisted and perverted? It's weird, man.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And those are all the programs. Those are the body memories. The reason she took it that way is from something from her past.
I
And
guess so.
obviously it didn't resonate with you because you didn't feel that way and it was weird to you. And so obviously she's
I have never understood the phrase chow hound to be anything other than someone who likes to eat
yeah.
food. Food,
I'm
you know what I
sure
mean?
you could twist it to any other kind, but yeah, it would have to be the situation would have to be implying that. And it sounds like you were eating, so you know.
Yeah, we were in a pizza joint. Like, what else could I have been referring to? And she just is like, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that." But you know what it is like, because I think it got laughs, and she she thinks she's really entertaining, and I'm like, "You might be, but I don't try." I mean, she gets jealous whenever I'm able to entertain people.
Yeah,
I think that's part of it. She gets
yeah.
mad and upset when people respond favorably to my humor. You
Well,
know?
narcissistic people, I mean, when I was in a narcissistically abusive relationship, the things that were happening to me made me scared of those kind of people because they had power over me. I allowed them to have power over me. But as I healed myself and got out of those toxic systems, I see narcissistic people more as it's just their inner child because children, their rule, like especially a toddler, their rule is if I see it, it's mine. If it's mine, it's mine. If it's yours, it's mine. If it's on the ground, it's mine. You know, because their ego is developing. Now,
Yeah,
so an adult whose ego is frozen at that level with some of these emotions or was embedded fight, flight, freeze, or fawn at that age, they're going to be mimicking that everything's mine. I'm that selfish attitude. But here's the key to presence throughout the day is learning and to do in the moment to translate, oh, that's the inner child. That's an unattended inner child I'm seeing. And then you can love it. And you can literally give adults, you don't know how many older men I've been working with when I learned a lot of this the last couple of years. I was cleaning windows, and so I really knew that I was going to be doing this kind of work, but I was making my money cleaning windows. You don't know how many older men who had thriving businesses, just amazing families. I would have 15-minute conversations cleaning their living room windows while they're just sitting there doing some office work, and I would hear that nobody's ever told them I'm proud of you. And you don't
wow.
know how many times I would hear them say something and be ready for the man in the room to be like, yeah, whatever, and walk off. And if I would just stop and turn around and say, wow, that's an amazing accomplishment. I'm impressed. I'm really proud of you. Two different times I had 60, 70-year-old men just in tears, and I'm 40 because they never had another person say they're proud. And so you can heal these parts of them. You don't heal them. You can give them a moment so that they can heal it because it's their adult mind who decided to listen to your, to my um, acknowledgement of being proud of them and decided to replace that part that never got told that in as a child. That's what made the tears happen. And some of them, I watched them become a completely different person after that, like open up and their business even thrive more because
Wow.
that was holding them back. And so over the next few weeks as you interact with this person, maybe you can try to transmute your relationship with her more as a practitioner, I'm learning, I'm gaining consciousness. Maybe I can go share that with her and it'll become more of a fun game of just recognizing patterns, recognizing, oh, she must be in flight mode. That's why she's quickly getting out of this building. How can I help her? And not that you're trying to do anything, you're just allowing it and just loving. And that's when every once in a while you can see, oh, this person needs to hear that they're enough. This person needs to hear that they're appreciated. And those little things you can do for people, you might be able to help her out of some of these frozen emotions. And right now you're saying every time I'm with her she's negative. Maybe that's a product of frozen
Yeah.
pattern.
And you're dead on. You're spot on. And thankfully for me, there was my lightness. I think of my kind of lightness and my willingness to kind of enjoy the evening, as
Mm-hmm.
you kind of say. That lightness kind of like it overshadowed a lot of her negativity. Some of it was just kind of funny. I mean, I didn't take too big of an offense to it, like my jokes that she misinterpreted, or my observation of the kid who looked like Krishnamurti and how skillful he was. I had to tell her, look, I'm not looking at the kid, or if he likes me, whatever. I can't control that, whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she was like, oh yeah, you're right. He does look like Krishnamurti. You're right. And then the fact that at the end of our meal, I was like, oh wow, you were right. I was telling her they did give you a Coors Light. So there was a little bit of reconciliation there. It wasn't all negative. It wasn't all negative. It
Yeah,
was.
I'm gonna have to go here in about 5 minutes and do my ending and everything, but I want to just take a minute and just thank you. You always make these events so much better
Thank
because
you.
we
Thank
usually
you.
have about an hour, so our conversations always add on to it. You always have something that just adds right on, so I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure.
And let me just say, I got somebody that just popped on watching live, so I just wanted to welcome them. And it's probably too late for me to invite anyone else to jump on the Zoom call, but I wanted to just let whoever joined us know that that's what we usually do. And we're going to be wrapping up here in a minute, but we are talking about emotional alchemy, recognizing emotions that are frozen in the body. And kind of what Efron and my conversation's been about that I'm really enjoying is putting presence, learning how to, would you say, analyzing the raw data of everyday life and staying present and learning how to sift through it. So we stay present, because it's the story that we tell about the raw data that gets us in freeze mode or in flight mode or in the past or in the future. It's when we see something and one of these frozen emotions gets struck by a trigger, we lose track of what's really happening. We think that what's happening is outside. Like your example here, where you're out with somebody and the behavior is just a little hard to deal with, and maybe they do something that, like, smell the bread so close that they have to, the barista has to give it to them. In these moments, we could lose ourselves and be like, oh man, now the barista is going to think that I'm like that, and they're going to look at me, and then boom, now you're in the past and you're in a body memory and you're reacting, not acting. And so these conversations are so important because they can speed up years of watching this and telling the story of, this person acted so funny, I can't believe they do this. And it switches that conversation over to, what is this trigger trying to teach me about myself?
Yeah.
Because once you learn that, then you no longer get triggered. I mean, it's funny to me when you see somebody, like a female, looking out and saying, oh, that female doesn't have enough clothes, or this one looks like a whatever. You can see that they are triggered, because when I look out and I see people, if I ever see a younger female with not enough clothes, I might be like, oh man, I'm sad for what experiences she might come. But to me, I'm just seeing energy and I'm seeing people expressing themselves. And so sometimes when someone says there's too much skin, I'm like, well, they're just expressing themselves. And I don't see it as sexually, I see it as fashion. But when you're triggered in that area, especially with abuse of that nature, then when you see things like that outside, you think it's the other people, when in reality, it's your own past experience. The maps you're holding, you're trying to put the past maps over top of the present, and they don't fit the terrain. There's new buildings there. There's whole, you know what I'm saying with that analogy? It's like trying to use a map of San Francisco, or that's where you're from, right? Or where are you from?
I'm from Sacramento.
Sacramento. Sorry, I haven't traveled much. Sacramento. I knew it was an S. Um, using a map of Sacramento, driving around downtown Portland, trying to find, the local Denny's. There's probably, or the local Starbucks, there's probably one in both downtowns, but the map for your city isn't going to work downtown Portland where I'm at,
I like your use of maps, because, man, that harkens back to something a counselor was telling me years ago. And he was an older guy, man. He was, and we were talking about my reaction to something. He goes, "That just doesn't. That's just how that's how your brain was mapped." That really resonates with me. Your use of the word maps is really interesting.
Well, when you start to see that your past history is like the map you wrote as a kid, and so it's written in crayon, and it's telling you, like, you can see, it's got a line for the road, how to get home, and it's got a little sign up somewhere that says, I don't know if I'm enough. If the person outside of me smiles enough, I guess that means I'm enough. It's got, all these weird little things from your childhood.
Yeah.
And as you wake up with your mindfulness practice, with your meditation in the morning, you'll start seeing those old maps, and you'll start updating them. You'll start correcting them. You'll start wiping off the I don't know if I'm enough. I need to see a reaction on the people outside, and you'll cross that out and say, I am enough as I am. I always figure it out. Only problem that I've ever had is I have been disconnected and disassociated from the mainframe computer, which is my body, which holds all the information that I need to navigate this plane. Every time we get disassociated from our body, we lose all the information, all of the knowledge that we've gained from the past. And that's all that's happening. And I hate to end this, but I got appointments I got to get to tonight. So this time I actually have to go. But thank you so much for joining me, Efren. I'm so grateful that you come and talk to me. And I'm so grateful for your feedback. It is just amazing watching what you're accomplishing with your half hour every morning. And I want to encourage anyone watching to take up a morning practice of some kind of spiritual routine.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'll let you. You have a good one. Thank you.
All right, you too, man. We'll talk to you soon. You can text me later after I talk to my daughter around 9 or something, if you want to. Otherwise, we'll talk tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Well, thank you to everyone that joined me this evening for Healing in Nature, Emotional Alchemy. Tonight we talked about what the cause of anxiety and all the symptoms that we see in front of us. The cause is frozen emotions, trapped from the past. We learned how to recognize the frozen emotions. We learned how they were put there. And ultimately, if you missed it in the earlier of this episode, you can rewind back, and we did a guided meditation to allow our unconscious minds to begin to release these frozen emotions and allow them to move through our body, because emotion is energy in motion. We do not want it frozen in our body. So if you're getting value from these Healing in Nature event podcasts that I've been putting on, please give me a thumbs up, give me a share, subscribe to my channel. We have grown. I had like 68 or 69 subscribers the other day, a few days ago. Now we're up to 80. So since changing this into a podcast and doing it regularly, we're really growing an amazing group here of conscious creators, people who are wanting to look into their unconscious programming and rewire their self-sabotage behavior. And that's what we do here in these events. So thank you for joining me tonight. If you are interested in any way working in a group setting with me, as I mentioned last time, last event, I do have 2 group coaching opportunities coming up starting January 1st. I said 2-3 days ago that in a day I would have a website up and running for it, but it has proven to be a little harder than I thought. So if anyone out there is watching knows how to make websites on groove.cm and would be willing to help me, I would be so much grateful. Otherwise, it might be a couple more days because I'm doing a lot of YouTube watching videos to try to figure out how to set up the page that I need with buttons and everything. But Trust me, this group is going to happen. I only have room for about 30 people to join me live each week in the group, so space is very limited. I already have that almost half full. So if you are interested in this opportunity, please just text me. My phone number is in the description, but you can text me at 360-798-2184 anytime, even if it's day or night. I'll text you back during my business hours and just say Balanced Life Wheel or Outcomes Mastermind. The Balanced Life Wheel is going to be a group where we get together each week and we deconstruct old beliefs. We analyze each area of our life wheel, and each week we talk about ways to improve in that area, and then we track over time improvement. The Outcomes Mastermind is a meditation, breath work, spiritual class, more for learning how to visualize future outcomes. It's a goal setting class on steroids. We learn how to set it with self-hypnosis. We learn how to set it in our future timeline in a way that our unconscious mind knows that it needs to be created. And it's a very powerful way to plan and create your future. And so these two classes together are going to be life-changing. You can buy them combined and attend both groups for $333 a month, or if you just want to work on deconstructing or building one or the other, you can just do one for $222. So please text me if you're interested, 360-798-2184. I am going to end with a song from my band Love Trust. And this song is about shadow work. I will end with this song and say goodnight to you all. Thank you all for joining me. This song is called Shadow Dance.
The dark where secrets lie, leave their mark, close your eyes now. Find the dark where secrets lie, leave their mark, hidden deep inside your mind. Truth you fear you still might find. Breathe in slowly, face the pain. In the shadows there's your game. See the parts you pushed away. Light within, the dark will stay. Gotta work, look within. Find the places you've been hiding. Embrace the parts you couldn't deny. Light within, the dark will stay. Memories of a troubled past. In your thoughts, they hold you fast. Cardinal's words will show the way. Through the night into the day. Feel the fear, but don't let go. Accept the parts you never show. Integration brings you peace. From the chaos, find release. Gotta work, look within. Find the places you've been hiding. Embrace the parts you couldn't deny. In the silence, hear your cry.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining me. You guys have a good evening. Remember, I will be back Sunday. I think today is Wednesday. Oh, we'll be back Wednesday. Today's Sunday. That's it. I've been working for 24 hours straight. I will be back on Wednesday for another Healing in Nature event. This one will be another topic like this one. I didn't look ahead to see what it was going to be. So I'll be putting some posts up on some of my social media. So thank you for all who joined me. Thank you for everyone who joined me on the replay. I love you all. Have a great night.